What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's Griever back here, bringing you guys the latest chapter review for Akatsuki no Yona, also known as Yona of the Dawn. Yona of the Dawn, chapter 205 review here, right now. Let's get into it. You know what? I don't think this chapter really did a whole lot. There's not going to be a whole lot to review. Not that this chapter was bad or unnecessary for us to see, especially the interaction at the beginning of the chapter between Hawk and Mei Nin. I'm just going to call her Mei from now on, because Yin, whatever. So the conversation there, but honestly, it simply follows and introduces us to one new character, and she escapes. That's pretty much the chapter, right? So, not that there's a whole lot to review, but that did not mean that this was a bad chapter. In fact, I found that there was some subtle little hints during this interaction that showcased things that we had sort of theorized about, especially my comment section theorized about at the end of the last chapter with, even the chapter before with, she was clearly a former general and doesn't like that, she's jealous and envious of Yona and finds it undeserving. She's very level of entitlement due to what happened to her in the past sort of idea and the regrets that she has in the whole why me situation. And there's a lot of depth to her character. Here, it's not as brazen, but it's also, there are some subtle hints. Like at the beginning of the chapter, of course, we end off with we all knew that this is sort of how it was going to go. A lot of people thought for some reason that Hawk would break out with her. I don't believe I said that I thought that would happen. If I did, I must have been having a moment, because this chapter went exactly as expected. Of course, she would interact with Hawk and basically be like, hey, you know your way around this castle, you know this, you know that, even if she doesn't find out that he's the Thunder Beast that she craves, or that he's somebody that she can use, hostage, guide, whatever. And he just, at the point of a sword, no, I'm not leaving because I know it would be bad for Yona. So nobody really seemed to bring that factor up at the end of the last chapter when people thought, oh no, here we go. And I was sort of like, okay, where is this going to go, if I recall correctly? But I never thought that he would legitimately, willingly break out with her. I sort of thought that when the Crimson Dragon illness sort of started to affect her, that maybe that would be a bit of a turning point. I did have doubt there, but then she sort of passed it off. He was concerned and blah, blah, blah. But what I wanted to talk about was those subtle hints in this conversation, because she, of course, he's just working out and they have their funny interaction. I'm not going to go through that line by line. It was really good. It was a fun conversation. But when she says, you want to break out of here? Nah, I don't. No, you do you. I'm good. No, you do this. You do this. No, I'm good. It's well, I need a guide. She tries playing the roles. She tries to say, oh, would you like a prince to come rescue you? No, I'm good. Oh, but poor little me. No, I'm still good. Oh, well then, you're coming with me by force. No, I'm still good. She went through 3 character changes, and not a single one of them worked on Hawk. We all knew that it wouldn't work on Hawk. Hawk only has eyes for Yona. It's very easy to understand that, honestly. And the other factor here is, as I said, that little subtle hint that when she basically questions, well, why not? Why the hell? There's 4 sentries here. You're clearly going to be either executed or a heinous criminal. 4 sentries for one dude who's doing 6,000 plus sit-ups. Seriously. You're here for a reason. Don't you want to leave? And he's like, well, yeah, I want to leave. But that would cause trouble, because she actually pointedly asked the question, don't you want to leave? Isn't there somebody on the outside that you want to see? This is the first subtle hint that maybe there's somebody, maybe it's not just all about, you could say it's as simplistic as she just wants to see, her little squirrel friend again. The little electric, the mini Pikachu squirrel, right? Ho? Is that his name? And that's fine dandy, because she's escaping for that purpose. But there might be somebody, maybe this General Val person or somebody like that, might be somebody else that she's sort of getting away for. We don't know yet. We don't know their relationship. We don't know her relationship with basically any of the people that she's grown up with quite yet. So, because she's a new character. So, when she asks this question, of course, Hawk immediately thinks of Yona and says also, so that's the first little hint that, like, she would go that route. Not like, don't you want to get out of here? Don't you want to be free? She asks, don't you want to get out of here? Isn't there somebody you want to see? So that's sort of her projecting a little bit, in my opinion. Then on top of that, when Hawk gives her the answer, which is, of course, very lovey-dovey, very romantic, like, it would cause her trouble, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to be basically a good dog, and she's told me to stay, I'm going to stay. It's a way more romantic way that he puts it, and I'm, once again, not completely against that stuff. You guys think I might be doing that as an insulting way, and I'm not. A good husband, I like to think I am, a good husband can basically be a good guard dog at times when necessary. Wife tells me to do ABC, you do ABC, you make her happy. Happy wife, happy life, right? So it's not an insulting way when I say he's being a good boy. He's being the good dog, right? Everybody loves dogs. It's hard not to, right? So he's doing his job well. He's like, no, this would just cause this problem, that problem, the other problem. Right now, I'm going to stay here. When he explains this, and we can see, of course, we can't hear it, but the tenderness and the, where he's going with his voice, he's not even speaking to her really anymore. She gets this flash across her face, which sort of, to me, was something, once again, a little more subtle, that she understood where he was coming from, and that's when she gave up on him. Sort of idea. That's sort of where she kind of gave up. Not completely, but like, like just sort of like, this is, the Crimson Dragon, no, this is a waste of time, blah, blah, blah. And then she left. Even at the point of the sword, man, like, I'm going to drag you out of here. There was these little subtle things. And then so that's the last we see of Hawk. I think some people will be upset with the fact that Hawk's still in jail, and that's just where he's going to stay for right now. I thought a lot of people were thinking, okay, jailbreak time, impel down. Not exactly. But that is the way it really narratively should have went. And that now she's trying to escape. She's, of course, going back to the garden. She's going back to the garden is because she wants to find her, from what we understand, her only real companion, her only friend in the world, the little spiky squirrel. And the little spiky squirrel, of course, is right now with Yona and the 4 dragons, which we see a scene of them basically being like, oh, don't worry, we're going to take you there really soon. Like, Yona's like, I'll take you to the dungeon. I don't give a shit. Like, I'm Yona. So she's like, yeah, jae-ha, you want to come with me sort of idea. Like, no big deal, right? But that's when they find out that she escaped. Now, she did that last night. Hawk was questioned. He stayed in the cell. They cover all that stuff. It's sort of like, it's expo dump time right here, sort of like they're hurrying up the pacing a little bit. That's what I mean when this chapter didn't really have a whole lot of different scenes to talk about, because it's all following, okay, she escaped, Hawk stayed, that's it, right? Because we get expo dump 101 here from jae-ha and the other dragons and stuff, and basically everybody talking like, okay, we're going to give you the squirrel to May. She's not in her cell because the scene before happened, and Hawk stayed, so don't worry about Hawk. They're not really leaving anything open-ended. They're like, yeah, they thought he would escape too, even though his cell door was open. They questioned him intensively, but he stayed. He gave them all the information, and he sat quietly like a good boy. Good dog, Hawk. Great dog, Hawk. Great dog, Hawk. Right? Great dog, Hawk. I like that. Great dog, Hawk. And he did that, and so that's going to be the last we hear about that. Now, this is where they're all a little concerned, and some hilarity ensues there. Like, this is what I'm talking about. Each scene was sort of one-dimensional. The main focus was May escapes. So in between that, though, May does escape. She's gone back to the garden. She's looking, and she's sort of distraught that she can't find her squirrel companion anymore. She's very distraught that now she's all alone in the world, and all this stuff. Like, can't I be... And she's remembering, like, little scenes here, like, because this is a May chapter, and we don't know enough about her yet, and they don't just throw her entire backstory at us either, so they're just leaving us little hints. The way her expression changes, the subtlety there, and that's what I'm talking about. There was a couple of points in the Hawk scene, and now there's a couple here where it's just like, can't you be satisfied being the emperor's mistress or what have you, or blah, 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 and stuff like that. And she's thinking back to all this, you're not a general anymore, all these things. Implying that she was a general, and she seems to know her way around a sword. She's beating up the guards and stabbing the guards and stuff. So she's clearly not exactly a weak woman by any stretch. So she's definitely a general. I don't know if she's like one of the strongest generals. She can go toe-to-toe with one of the dragons even and give them a run for their money. I don't think she's supposed to be that strong, but maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe she is actually super formidable in that way. Right now, of course, she's very beaten, very weakened, and she ends up basically collapsing after trying to attack whoever was behind her. At first, I thought it was Hawk following after the whole Crimson Dragon illness thing, and he was sort of like, hey, you all right? And he seemed to be pondering something. But it actually ends up being Yeon. Yeon finds her, brings her into wherever he's sort of staying as an apothecary, as he says. Nah, I'm just a local apothecary, whatever. Yeah, we're in the Crimson Dragon Palace, but don't worry about it. Seems to have stolen her away. I don't know if Yeon is aware that she's somebody who escaped the dungeons or not. It would hard-pressed that he would not know about this, because I imagine a lot of the guards are right now, oh, we're on red alert. The prisoner escaped, and then there's this injured woman, badly beaten in the middle of a courtyard. Yeon's not stupid. He'd probably put two and two together. Of course, she lashes out at Yeon right away, but we get more on Yeon. We're starting to get a little more of how Yeon is feeling right now. He even brings up the fact that, yeah, he's feeling a little comfortable here, a little comfortable there. It's not such a bad thing, but it's also not a good thing either. They need to keep their wits about them, just like how the dragons were sort of sitting back being nonchalant for a little too long. Now Yeon is starting to realize, like, yeah, even I'm being, like, too just sit back, like, yeah, I'm just learning my medical knowledge. These people aren't so bad and stuff, and he's not looking at it with an unbiased view. They're sort of taking too much relaxation and not really focusing on, okay, remember, this alliance is hanging by a thin thread. We're on a thin sheet of ice right now. We're trying to skate across a whole lake. We need to really be focused and remember that we are this close from going from sunshine and rainbows to death and destruction. This is not an easy alliance right now. There are a lot of problems with it, and we need to keep our wits about us. And he's sort of going through this while we get more on May's character, who, of course, as I said, lashes out at Yeon near the end of the chapter here, and he ends up, like, coaxing her down and saying, hey, yeah, just rest. Yes, we're in the Crimson Dragon Castle. I'm just an apothecary. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm just, look at me. I'm just a kid. Don't worry about it. Here, have something to eat. If you can eat, have some soup or whatever. And she finds it absolutely delicious, of course, because Mother Hen Yeon, which, once again, I think this is one of the elements. I really want Yona to continue a lot further than this. A lot of people are saying it's going to end probably sometime next year or the year after. It's not going to be near chapter 300, apparently. That's what some people have been telling me. But I don't trust mangakas or their editors ever, because they've never been right in the history of the industry. So I never trust. They don't know what a clock is. Let's just be real. They've never seen a calendar or a clock in their life. So they've never been right. Even the big names and the small names have never been right. So I don't hold much stock in that, because that's something that's really missing. As I said, the Mother Hen Yeon stuff. We need all the dragons together again on a goddamn camping trip. We need the Happy Hungry Bunch together again. That is something. I don't mind the serious direction. I don't mind some of the plot lines that they've started here, but I am missing my moments with them setting up for camp, Happy Hungry Bunch, adventures ensue, that kind of idea on the road. Sort of need that back a little bit. I think I'm missing that now. I think we've had this plot line for a while, and especially as a monthly series, it's a long time since we've had that, and I think that that's something missing here, because at the end of this chapter, we do get the scene that the delegates have officially gone back. They're heading towards Kai, and this is where the new character, General Val, comes along the way and says, where's Lady May, and stuff like that. And they're like, oh, she went ahead and blah, blah, blah. They don't even notice. They don't even care, because, of course, she's just a mistress, blah, 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 a former general, blah, blah, blah. But this guy seems to be a true general. He seems to be a bit of a powerhouse, and he's concerned. So childhood friend, maybe a rival when she was a general, who knows, a confidant, Maybe the person that she was thinking about, not just the squirrel, but maybe the person that she was thinking about when Hawk was talking about Yona. We don't know. We don't know their connection yet. Clearly concerned, and he's not buying it. So, oh, she already headed back. Well, why didn't I meet her on the road if I'm this way? You know, he's questioning it, right? So, yeah, I thought the whole chapter, as I said, was very one-dimensional chapter, but it wasn't necessarily a bad chapter. It's just like when we have transition chapters between arcs. They're not always going to be fun, or like wrap-up chapters at the end of arcs. We need to be able to get to, like, in every story, you need to be able to get, okay, here's A, we need to get our characters and our storyline to B. Sometimes the transition between A to B and B to C, you know, sometimes that transition period is not going to always be the most interesting, but it's always necessary to do so. So I found that this chapter was a necessity. It was still a good chapter. I thought it was handled very well, but it was a bit of an expo dump. She escaped, still there. There's a new character introduced, looking for her, a little one-dimensional, but I thought it was necessary. So that's pretty much the chapter. As I said, I just really want to get back to our old on the road adventuring Happy Hungry bunch. Or at the very least, I think I really very soon need to see them all back together again. The dragons, Yona, Yeon, and Hawk, all together again, no strings attached, as a group. Even if they're not on the road together, I need to see them sitting down, eating a meal together again, eating Yeon's cooking again. I think we sort of need that. I think we want that for our characters, and I think that that's going to come about sooner rather than later. I'm holding out hope for that. But what do you guys think of the chapter? What do you think? As I said, I don't think calling it one-dimensional is a bad thing, because I feel like it's a transition chapter that needed to happen. So that's not a negative aspect when I say that. So I don't really have very much bad to say, other than that the dragon scene with Yona and the 4 dragons felt kind of forced. Like, okay, we need to expo dump on here's what happened to Hawk, here's what happened to May, and here's what all the castle guards know. Here's the gossip at the castle. It was an excuse to have them in the chapter and stuff. That would be my only negative critique, is that it wasn't really necessary. They could have just had a page with some no-name guards talking about, yeah, we questioned the Thunder Beast, but he knew nothing about blah blah blah. It's like, and they have their own opinion or comment on it as Sky Tribe soldiers. And then we jump to the scene with Yeon and we extend that scene, right? Like, that scene was the only one that sort of felt out of place, a little forced. But for the most part, yeah, I thought it was an absolutely fine chapter. But what did you guys think? Are you guys excited to wait for chapter 206? I don't really know the direction chapter 206 is going to take, because we could be following May and Yeon. We could jump back to Hawk. We could follow soo-won. We could follow this General Val. We could get May's backstory next chapter. Who knows? Like, I have no idea exactly what direction they're going to take from this chapter point forward, and who we're going to follow for the next couple chapters. But let me know what you guys thought down in the comment section down below. As always, like, comment, and subscribe. It's always very much appreciated. Don't forget, we're getting to 500 subscribers. We're like 2 to 3 away. We got a couple weeks left. Let's get this done, guys. Come on, 500 subscribers before March 31st. It's not that difficult. Let's just do it. But yeah, so that's the end of the review, I guess. I already said like, comment, subscribe. Drink responsibly, as clearly I'm not doing, as always, and we will see you guys back here next time. All right, peace out.